Hey guys, this is McTodgic. Welcome back to another episode of the Translucent Plastics Archive. This is a quick episode because I just wanted to talk about this game here. The game is called Salamander. It's a Japanese side-scrolling shooter game, and it was actually released in 1986 or 1987. I couldn't quite get the date right, but I think 1986 is about right. So what's interesting about this? Well, obviously it's translucent, and that's actually really unique. This is, of course, released for the Japanese NES, which was the Famicom, and this is the only game that was ever released in a translucent case for that console. Of course, when we got to the later eras, such as the Game Boys and all those things, then we started to get translucent cartridges, but this is the only cartridge from the NES era that's translucent, and again, it was only released in Japan, so it's a Japanese exclusive, this case at least. Now, I can't really comment about the game. I think it's a standard kind of shooter game, but what we're going to talk about is just reflect on, is why they used a translucent case for this. People have said that it is one of the nicest cases, cartridges for the NES. It's definitely a collectible in that sense. Very, very beautiful, with some great art on the front. It really does shine in good lighting, but you can still see it here, just how lovely that is. This is, of course, about more than 10 years before the iMac G3 was released. So this actually really predates the whole translucent craze that came in the late 90s by being actually in the late 80s. And it's really unique in that sense. I'm not really sure why it was released in this case and how they got away with it, or how the decision was made, any of that. I don't have any information, and I'd love to know more about what happened with that. But I think there was something just particularly interesting about this game that ended up having it licensed this way. Of course, most games in those days were just released in beige cartridges, very boring grays. So this is definitely something that stands out and is quite unique. I think the box art was also fairly unique as well, but I haven't got that to show you here. I haven't actually tried to see if this game's working, but I really just bought it just to talk about for the video and to showcase another piece of translucent history. The fact that it does come in a color that is quite reminiscent of Bondi Blue, or a teal kind of blue color, does, I guess, have some interest to it, in the sense that Apple may not have known about this cartridge, but I think that the language and the choice of color was consistent for many years. When later on Motorola started releasing their pages, they would also do it in this similar blue color, teal blue. And then, of course, the Apple eMate also came in a very similar shade of green to this. And then, of course, the iMac G3 sort of, brought it to the mainstream, I suppose. But this is perhaps one of the earliest examples of it. And I have no idea whether the sort of causal chain link of, designs does come and stem originally from this cartridge or not. Of course, a lot of the early translucent designs did make their way out of Japan, and Japanese design did have a big impact on Apple when they started going down the same path. So you could say this is a pioneer, and Japan also was releasing action figures back in the 1970s that had translucent elements. So in some ways they did have that going for them for a long time, and they would typically describe it as a skeleton. They didn't use the word translucent in that sense, but yeah, there you go. So the cool thing about it is, of course, you can see the PCB. You can see some of the chips here. Really nice, not something you would normally see from tech of that era. So a very unique approach, very cool. You can see it's actually, it's got 1987 on there as the year. But I read online that this game was released in 1986, so I suppose that's what we're going to go with. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's the game Salamander. You can look it up online and see more photos of these cartridges. But as far as I know, I don't have any more information about why they released it in this case, or and why they didn't try that with more games for the Famicom. Whether this was even appreciated, or whether people thought it was a bit outlandish or strange. Who knows? Just another piece of strange and old school history, not just from the Y2K era, but going even back a little bit further. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.